If I had known that telling my daughter no would end with me lying at the bottom of the stairs, I would have changed the locks months ago. She didn't yell. She didn't even raise her voice. She just looked at me cold like a cashier, asking for payment, and said, "Give me the money or get out." When I refused, she didn't hesitate. She shoved me. No warning. 1 second, I was standing. The next, I was crashing down the stairs. My ribs screamed. My leg twisted underneath me, and while I lay there, stunned and hurting, I heard her calm voice, calling 911, saying I had lost my balance. That's the moment I knew this wasn't my daughter anymore. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe, and please tell me and others what's one life lesson everyone should hear before it's too late. Share it in the comments below. Thanks. Before I get into what happened next, let me ask you, have you ever had a family member cross the line one too many times? If you have, you'll understand what I did next. Let's just say, it was the kind of payback I don't regret. My name's Charlotte. I'm 68 years old, and last Thursday morning, my daughter shoved me down a flight of stairs because I refused to give her my savings. The day started out like any other. I was folding towels in the living room when Demi called from the kitchen. "Can we talk upstairs?" Her voice was sharp like she used to sound back when she worked in finance. Before she got laid off, something about her tone made my stomach twist. I grabbed the railing and slowly climbed the stairs, my hip already stiff from the cold. She followed behind, walking too close. I could hear her breathing. It was off, like she was angry but trying to hide it. At the top, I turned to her, thinking she'd ask for help again like she did 2 nights ago. But instead, she stepped right in front of me, blocking the hallway. "We need to stop pretending," she said. "You have the money. I need it." I stared at her, confused. "What money?" She rolled her eyes. "Don't play dumb, Mom. The savings, the CDs, the mutual funds, whatever you've been hiding since Dad died." My throat tightened. "That's for emergencies." "This is an emergency," she snapped. "Either give me the money or pack your bags." I didn't answer. I couldn't. My chest felt tight, like it was caving in. I tried to step around her, back toward my bedroom. That's when she grabbed my shoulder. "Don't walk away from me." I looked her in the eye and said quietly, "I'm not giving you a dime." And that was it. She pushed hard, fast. I didn't even have time to catch myself. My foot slipped. I heard a horrible crack before the pain hit. My hip slammed into the stairs, then my back, then my side. Everything spun, wood, carpet, ceiling, until I landed in a heap near the bottom, twisted, breathless. She didn't scream. She didn't check if I was okay. She just stood there, staring like I was some old problem she was tired of dealing with. Then she pulled out her phone and calmly told the 911 operator, "My mom fell. She's been dizzy lately. I think she missed a step." I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them she was lying, but the pain burned like fire through my side, and my mouth wouldn't work. I was shaking too hard, and deep down, I didn't know if anyone would believe me. Who wants to believe their own child could do something like that? The paramedics arrived quickly. One of them asked Demi if I had a history of falling. "She's had balance issues," she said smoothly. "I've been telling her to get a walker." I tried to shake my head, but I don't know if they saw. One EMT adjusted my oxygen and told me to stay still. I wanted to explain, but I couldn't get the words out. They wheeled me outside on a stretcher. I remember seeing my neighbor across the street peeking through her curtains. I'd lived in that house for 34 years. No one had ever seen me like that, helpless, bloody, strapped down. Demi locked the front door behind us like nothing happened. In the ambulance, I couldn't stop replaying it all the way she lured me upstairs. How calm she was, how planned it felt. This wasn't a heat of a moment outburst. This was something colder, smarter. She didn't see me as her mom anymore. She saw me as an old woman with money and no fight left. And that's when I knew this fall wasn't just a fall. It was the beginning of something worse. Something I had to fight with everything I had left, not just in my body, but in my heart. Because if I didn't act soon, I was going to lose more than just my balance. At the hospital, the lights were too bright. A nurse asked if I could move my toes. I did, slowly. The pain in my hip pulsed hard and deep. "You're lucky," the doctor said. "Nothing's broken, just some nasty bruises." But I didn't feel lucky. Demi sat across from me on a plastic chair, scrolling through her phone like she was waiting for her lunch. No worry, no guilt, just a bored look every time she glanced up at me. Do you want me to call someone? The nurse asked gently. I opened my mouth, but Demi jumped in. We're fine. She's just shaken up. She's had dizzy spells before. I stared at the nurse, silently begging her to see through the lie. But she just nodded and walked out. Demi looked up and said, "You'll probably stay here overnight, maybe 2. I'll bring your insurance card later. It's in your wallet, right?" And that's when something clicked. My purse. Suddenly, I sat up, alert. "Where's my purse?" I asked. Demi blinked, then gave me a smile that didn't feel real. "Don't worry, I grabbed it. It's in the car," she said, but I didn't believe her. I remembered exactly where I left it on, the little table by the front door. She hadn't even come downstairs until the paramedics did. I opened my mouth to ask again, but she stood up too fast. "I'll swing back later. Just rest, okay?" She leaned down and kissed my forehead, nod like a daughter, but like a nurse kissing someone they didn't really know. Then she walked out, not even glancing back. The room felt colder once she left. That night, while the pain meds softened the edges of everything around me, I asked the evening nurse if I could use the hospital phone. Demi said my cell had died, but I knew that wasn't the full story. The nurse nodded and wheeled the phone over to me. I tried calling my friend Linda. Voicemail. I tried again, still nothing. Then I remembered Linda changed her number when her son moved her to Seattle. She texted me the new one, a text I couldn't get to without my phone. I sat there in bed, furious with myself for not writing it down, and even more angry that I let Demi talk me out of keeping anything on paper. "Digital is easier," she'd said. "I'll keep everything organized for you." The next morning, a nurse brought me a tray with breakfast and a small stack of paperwork: insurance, consent forms, prep for discharge. I looked at the words, but they swam on the page. I felt helpless, like I was still falling and hadn't hit the ground yet. That's when I saw something at a charge sheet clipped to the bottom of the stack. I scanned it quickly. Room charges, medication, then a strange line that caught my eye. "Greetings, Patrick, sir, and dispatch 422 ambulance dispatch wait," I said, pointing at it. "That's not right. I came in with county EMS." The nurse frowned and flipped through the file. "Huh, it says your daughter arranged the dispatch. Must be a clerical error." I shook my head. No, this wasn't a mistake. This wasn't just pressure. It wasn't a bad moment or a daughter losing her temper. Demi was using me, using my name, my identity. And this was only the beginning. By noon, she still hadn't come back. No phone, no wallet, no visit. That's when it hit me. This wasn't the start of her breakdown. This was the middle of her plan. And if I didn't figure something out fast, I wasn't just going to lose my savings, I was going to lose everything. When Demi finally walked into my room, the sun was already going down. Shadows stretched across the floor, and the nurse had dimmed the lights for the evening. I'd spent the whole day in silence, going over every moment that led me here, letting her move back in after the divorce, letting her handle my bills, making her my emergency contact. She walked in carrying a plastic grocery bag and a fake smile. "Brought you some things," she said, setting it on the little table. Inside, a toothbrush, a cardigan, and an open bag of trail mix I hadn't bought in months. "You have my purse?" I asked. She paused, just for a second, then shrugged. "Oh, it's at the house. Figured you didn't need it right now." I said nothing. She sat across from me, legs crossed, like she had all the time in the world. "So listen," she said. "I've been thinking." I braced myself. "We need to get serious about the money. I know you're mad, but the startup's falling apart. We've got one shot to turn it around." I blinked. "Startup?" Her eyes widened like I was the one being ridiculous. "My wellness app, Mom. The one I've been working on with Zach and Liv. We already put in $10,000. If we don't get the second phase funded, it all tanks." I shook my head slowly. "That was never my investment." She gave a tight smile, but it didn't touch her eyes. "Come on, it's not like you can take it with you. You've got no rent, no car payment, no mortgage. What do you even need all that money for?" I sat up straighter, ignoring the tight pull in my side. "For peace of mind. For medical bills. For the right to not have to explain myself to anyone." She leaned forward. "If you don't help me now, it's over. I'll lose everything. You won't see Travis again. I won't have anywhere to go. We're family. This is what families do." I looked her in the eyes and said quietly, "Families don't push their mothers down the stairs for money." Her face turned red. "It was an accident." I didn't flinch. Was it? We stared at each other. The room went silent, heavy. Then she started pacing. You're being dramatic, she said. You're lucky I even brought you here. You could have broken your neck. I might have, I said. But not because I slipped. That stopped her just for a breath. Then she exhaled hard. Fine, don't give me the money. But you better find somewhere else to go once you're discharged. You're not coming back to the house. She said it like she was kicking out a stranger. Not her mother, not the woman who raised her, wiped her tears, paid her college fees. You're serious? I asked. She nodded. Dead serious. Help me, or leave. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. The words caught in my throat. She picked up her bag and walked out just like that, like it was any other chat. Like she hadn't just tossed everything we had in the trash over an app and a bank account. I lay back in the bed, numb. The only sound was the beeping of machines in the hallway. But inside, something had shifted. She didn't just take my purse. She tried to take my peace, my trust, my place in my own life. And under all that pain, something new was growing. Not rage, not sorrow, clarity. She wanted me gone. Fine. But this time, I'd leave on my own terms. And I wouldn't be the one left regretting it. The next morning, the nurse came in with my discharge papers. Your daughter already signed off on everything, she said, with a sweet smile like Demi had done me a favor. I nodded slowly, but inside, I was done being the victim. A cold feeling sank into my chest. Demi hadn't even waited to see if I could walk. She just signed the discharge papers and left. The hospital gave me a pair of non-slip socks and a walker. I slowly eased out of bed, my hip aching and bruised, but still working. I shuffled to the bathroom and caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I barely recognized the woman staring back, pale, tired, hollow-eyed, but not broken, not yet. They returned my phone in a plastic bag labeled patient belongings. It was dead, no charger. I plugged it in and waited, my stomach twisting. As soon as it powered on, my worst fear was confirmed. The call log had been wiped clean. All my contacts were still there, but every recent call, every message gone. I scrolled through the texts. Nothing new from Demi, just some automated messages from the pharmacy. Then I remembered Linda. She had sent me her new number in a text. Months ago, after moving to Seattle with her son. I couldn't find it in my phone, but I knew I had it saved in an old email. I dug it up, typed it in by hand, and called. It only rang twice before she picked up. Charlotte. Her voice was cautious but calm. Yes, I whispered, trying to keep the shake out of my voice. I need help. 10 minutes later, she was there. Not in the waiting room, right there in my hospital room, standing tall in a tailored coat, lipstick perfect, briefcase in one hand, a manila folder in the other. She looked like she'd come straight from court, and she didn't ask if I was okay. What did she do? Linda asked softly, sitting beside me. I couldn't speak yet. I just handed her my phone, then pulled the discharge papers from the table and pointed to the ambulance, bill marked private dispatch. Signed by Demi, without ever asking me. Linda flipped through the pages fast, scanning with practiced eyes. She nodded once, her jaw set. Okay then, let's not waste time. I'd known Linda since we were in our 20s, both of us military wives stationed in the same town. She went to law school. I raised Demi. Even as our lives took different turns, we stayed in touch. When my husband died, Linda helped me through the will, the paperwork, the hard parts. I hadn't spoken to her much lately. Demi always said Linda was too busy. Now I saw the truth. It wasn't that Linda disappeared. It was that I had, because Demi made sure of it. I have a place for you, Linda said. It's quiet, Senior Quap. You'll like it. What about my things? I asked. We'll get them later, she replied. Right now, we need to get you siphoned, start a paper trail. We didn't wait for Demi. Linda signed me out herself, using the hospital's alternate release protocol. We slipped out through a side entrance to avoid the lobby. Her car, a soft, leather-seated Lexus, was already running, smooth jazz playing low on the stereo. In the glove box was a folder labeled Contingency, CL, my initials. She'd prepared all this before I even made the call. As the hospital disappeared behind us, my ribs throbbed, my leg ached, but under all that pain, something else flickered to life. Not hope, not yet, but something close. Linda drove in silence for a while, letting me breathe. Then she glanced over at me. You're not the first, she said gently. I've seen daughters do worse, but you're not going to disappear in this story. I turned my face toward the window, watching fast food signs and strip malls blur into quiet trees and empty roads. She was right. I was going to disappear from Demi's story, but only so I could start writing my own. Her car came to a stop in front of a simple, one-story building. A small wooden sign read, Willow Crest Cooperative, Living, no gold lettering, no big gate, just a clean path, neatly trimmed hedges, and a bench beneath a blooming jacaranda tree. It didn't look fancy, but it felt like exactly what I needed: peace. Inside, the air smelled like lemon oil and fresh bread. Not bleach, not loneliness. Linda helped me up the short ramp into Unit 2B, a cozy space with a kitchenette, a neatly made twin bed, and a small window facing a courtyard. 2 older women were sitting outside, laughing over a gardening magazine. "I've covered the deposit," Linda said as she guided me inside. "You can pay me back once we sort out your accounts." I didn't argue. I couldn't. My throat wasn't sore from the fall anymore. It was from everything else. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the cold goodbye from someone I raised with every ounce of love I had. But being here, it felt like I didn't have to defend my existence anymore. Linda sat at the small table and opened her briefcase. "We need to talk about your assets." That word used to mean retirement accounts, CDs, the little nest egg Cliff and I built together. Now it made my stomach turn, because Demi had reduced me to nothing more than a PIN number, a password, a balance. I reached for the small notebook I'd started keeping since the fall. I handed it to Linda. It had everything, every strange charge, every time mail went missing, even the name of the bank rep who once called to confirm a transaction I never made. At the time, I thought it was just a mistake. Now I knew better. Linda flipped through the notebook I'd given her, nodding as she read. "This is good," she said. "It's more than most people have when they come to me." Then, she pulled out another folder, this one filled with bank statements. She'd already requested them using my social security number and a copy of my ID. "Were added as a secondary holder on 2 new accounts," she said, "both opened in the last 6 months. One's tied to a company called ZG Wellness Ventures." Ring a bell. I shook my head slowly. Linda tapped her pen against the folder. "That's where your money's going. It's a shell business, most likely. Something Demi set up with a friend." I swallowed hard. I thought the worst part had been the fall. But this wasn't just a shove. This was theft. Not the kind with ski masks and crowbars, but the quiet kind. The kind that hides behind a smile and a familiar name. The kind that slips into your life with a login and a forged signature. "We're going to move quickly," Linda said. "I'll contact the Financial Abuse Division. You'll sign over temporary legal control to me while we secure your estate." "I don't want her near any of it," I said. My voice came out, steadier than I expected. "Not a penny. Not the house." "She won't be," Linda said firmly. "Not once we put the house in a living trust and freeze the accounts." I looked around the small room again, bare walls, a soft radio playing in the background, a tea kettle on the counter. It wasn't much, but for the first time in months, I didn't feel like I had to tiptoe around someone's mood. I wasn't waiting for a slammed door or a snide comment about groceries. I didn't feel trapped. Linda packed up her briefcase and handed me a small flip phone. "Only I have this number," she said. "Keep it with you. We can't risk her tracking your old phone." I took it without hesitation. That evening, I sat by the window with a cup of warm water and watched the sky turn violet. In the courtyard, a woman waved at me. I waved back. I didn't know her name yet, but I knew something important. I wasn't in the house where my daughter had pushed me down the stairs. I wasn't just a line on her financial spreadsheet. I was somewhere safe, somewhere she couldn't reach, and that was my first real step toward getting my life back. By the next morning, something had changed in me. I wasn't just trying to survive, I was ready to act, to fight smart. Linda arrived just after breakfast, with a new folder tucked under her arm. She didn't waste time with small talk. She sat across from me and opened the folder on the little table. "This," she said, sliding a paper toward me, "is the living trust agreement. Once we sign this and record the deed, your home, your money, everything will be protected. Legally, she won't be able to touch it." I stared at the form. My heart pounded. I hadn't even told Demi I was gone. I imagined her waking up, opening my bedroom door, expecting to find me there. But instead, nothing. No note, no address. Just an empty room. I wondered if she panicked, or if she just walked in, claimed the room as her own, and started going through my drawers. What about the house? I asked. It's still in your name, but she's been treating it like it's hers, Linda explained. Utilities are in your name. She bought new furniture using your card. She might even be using your address for that fake business. If we don't act quickly, she could try to borrow against it. I nodded and picked up the pen. My hand trembled as I signed. Linda slid another form toward me. This one freezes your checking and savings accounts and moves the funds to a protected account. I'll be listed as a temporary guardian until the court approves full protection. I signed that one too. And another, and another. By the time we finished, my hand ached and my coffee had gone cold, but something inside me felt stronger, like bricks being set down under my feet, like I was finally standing on solid ground. Linda gathered the forms into a tidy stack. There's more, she said. A forensic accountant I trust pulled your financial activity from the last year. They're tracking every transfer Demi made, especially the ones to third-party accounts. It's already enough for a civil case, maybe even criminal. A sharp breath escaped my lips. And if they prove it, then she could face charges: fraud, elder financial abuse, identity theft. Linda looked at me gently. But that's not your job. Your job is to protect yourself. Let the system deal with the rest. I stood slowly and walked to the window. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting a golden line across the floor. I never imagined I'd be here considering legal action against my own child. Even now, part of me still wanted to believe she just panicked, that she'd made a mistake, and could make it right. But that part of me, the one who made excuses, who stayed quiet, had been pushed down a flight of stairs. That part had been erased. I don't want revenge, I said softly, turning back to Linda. I just want her out of my life, quietly, for good. Linda nodded. Then we do this the right way. No shortcuts, no loopholes. That afternoon, we drove to the county recorder's office. I used the walker for balance as I signed the deed transfer in front of a notary. The room was beige and cold. The pen felt heavy in my hand. But when that official seal stamped down on the paper with a loud click, I didn't flinch, because I knew what it meant. It meant Demi didn't own me. Not my house, not my name, not my story, not anymore. Something shifted in me. This wasn't just paperwork anymore. Was the sound of a door closing behind me for good. Back at Willowcrest, the receptionist handed me a padded envelope. Dropped off this morning, she said. No return address. Inside was a cheap greeting card with a big yellow smiley face on the front. Inside, one short line. Call me. We need to talk. -D. No apology. No explanation. Just a demand, dressed up like a request. I didn't call. I walked straight to the lobby shredder and fed that card through, slow and steady, until it was gone. That night, I sat at my small kitchen table, letting a tea bag steep in silence. I realized something important. I wasn't waiting for her to change anymore. I was making sure she couldn't touch me again, even if she tried. 2 days later, just past noon, came a knock. Not loud but solid, firm, the kind of knock that comes with expectations. I had just finished watering the little rosemary plant by the kitchen window and was settling into the calm of the afternoon. When I opened the door, I didn't even need to ask. Demi stood there, sunglasses on top of her head, arms folded tight across her chest. Her son, Travis, stood next to her, slouched down in a hoodie, even though it was warm, his hands jammed in his pockets. The second I saw them, that old weight landed on my chest. Guilt, anger, love, regret, a tangled knot of feelings I hadn't sorted through yet. Mom, she said, like the word was supposed to fix everything. We need to talk. I didn't invite them in. The door stayed half closed behind me. I stepped outside just enough to make it clear. This wasn't a welcome. How did you find me? I asked. Her eyes flicked away for half a second. I went by the house. You weren't there. Then, I checked the hospital. Someone had to know something. You searched for me like you lost a wallet, I said softly. Don't be dramatic, she snapped. You vanished. You left without telling anyone. I raised my eyebrow. After you told me I wasn't welcome in my own house. Travis shifted his feet, looking down at the sidewalk, still hadn't said a word. But silence doesn't make you innocent. I remembered the way he used to ask for gift cards, just for school supplies, and how they'd always be maxed out by nightfall. Demi stepped forward, tone changing. Look, I know things got tense, but you're overreacting. We're family. We don't handle things like this." "How do we handle things then?" I asked. "By shoving people downstairs, by forging their names on new accounts, by funneling money through fake companies." She blinked. Just once. But that was enough. She hadn't expected me to say it. Not here. Not out loud. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said slowly. "I think you do," I replied. "And so do the lawyers." Her mouth dropped open. Travis finally looked up, startled. "Lawyers?" he muttered. "You've been draining money from me for months. I've seen the transactions, the fake LLC, the new bank accounts. I know everything now." Demi's face twisted. Her voice got sharp. "This is ridiculous. Someone's manipulating you. Whoever's advising you is turning you against your own daughter. You did that all by yourself," I said. "And now it's over." A few steps away, Doris, the building manager, stepped out from the office, calm but alert. She walked over quietly. "Is there a problem here?" she asked. "No," I answered, my voice firm. "They were just leaving." Demi turned to Doris, switching tones like flipping a switch. "I'm her daughter. I just need a few minutes with her. It's a family matter." Doris stood steady. "I understand. But our residents have made it clear who is on isn't allowed on the property, and Miss Langley has asked for space." Demi's face turned red with disbelief. "You can't do this. You can't shut us out." "I already did," I said. "This isn't your house. This isn't your life anymore." Travis finally spoke up, voice low. "So that's it. You're just cutting us off." I looked at him a long time. I remembered holding him as a baby, buying his birthday cakes, sitting through school plays where he forgot every single line. "I'm not cutting anyone off," I said. "You cut yourselves loose the day you started seeing me as a bank account and not a person." Doris stepped between us now, gently but firmly. "You'll need to leave." Demi looked like she was about to say more, but instead, she turned sharply. Her heels clicked down the walkway. Travis followed, still silent. I didn't watch them go. I closed the door behind me and leaned on it for a moment. My hands were steady, my breathing calm. The confrontation I'd feared was finally over, and I hadn't crumbled. I had stood my ground, and it felt like something I could get used to. 2 mornings later, another envelope showed up in my mailbox. Plain white, no return address. But the handwriting was Demi's, too neat, too careful, like she'd tried to make it perfect. I stood at the counter, coffee cooling in my hand, heart pounding faster than the ticking kitchen clock. I didn't open it right away. I circled the table for over an hour, eyeing it like it might explode, like there was some trap hidden inside. Finally, I sat down, took a deep breath, and slid my finger under the flap. Inside was a card with a watercolor flower on the front. Inside, one paragraph in her familiar, loopy handwriting. "Mom, I know you're mad. I never meant to hurt you. Things got out of hand and I miss you. Travis misses you. We're having a hard time right now. Can we please just talk? Maybe meet somewhere? I still have that check you gave me. Maybe we can use it to fix things. Love, Demi." There it was. Half an apology, buried beneath another. "Ask that check she mentioned. I didn't give her that. She forged it, wrote it in a different pen, cashed it into that fake business account. But now, she was pretending it was some gift. A peace offering. Like everything could be cleaned up with one quiet lie and a little smile. I didn't know what I expected when I flipped the card over, but it wasn't this. Tucked inside was a second sheet of paper, folded neatly. At first I thought it was just another letter. But when I opened it, my stomach dropped. It was a photo of a signed loan authorization form. My name was at the bottom, clear as day, but the date, it was dated a full week after I left the hospital. I never signed anything after that, not with her. Not ever again. My hand shook as I grabbed the flip phone Linda gave me. I dialed her number. She picked up on the second ring. "She forged another document," I said, my voice sharp and low, "and she mailed it to me." Linda didn't miss a beat. "I'm sending you a Dropbox link now. Upload the photo. Our forensic team will compare the handwriting by tomorrow, and keep the envelope. Might still have her fingerprints." It all felt so surreal, like I was reporting a stranger, not my own daughter, but maybe that's what she'd become. Not a confused child, not someone who made a mistake, but a threat, wrapped in sweet words and guilt that she dusted off and reused whenever she needed something. Later that day, I gave the envelope, the card, and the fake loan form to the investigator Linda brought onto the case. He looked young, but he moved with calm confidence, like someone who's seen this kind of thing before. He didn't talk to me like I was fragile. He didn't call me a victim. He treated me like a witness, and I liked that. "You're doing the right thing," he said, slipping the letter into a clear, protective sleeve. "She's not just crossing lines anymore. She's leaving a paper trail, and it shows intent." That night, I didn't journal. I didn't call anyone. I just sat by the window, watching the porch light flicker outside, thinking about how many times I'd let Demi twist the truth, how often I stayed quiet just to keep the peace. But silence is a terrible shield. So this time, I let the documents speak for me. The forged check, the fake signature, the polite little card that tried to make everything seem okay again. They said what I couldn't. I was done pretending this was love, because it hadn't been, not for a long time. I was sitting in the courtyard the next morning, sipping my tea, when the call came. The sun hadn't quite broken through the morning clouds, and the koi pond still looked like a sheet of glass. I had just finished watering the little basil plant Marlena from Tua gave me when my phone buzzed on the table. The number was local, but not familiar. "Hello," I answered, soft but steady. "Mrs. Langley." The voice was professional, kind. "This is Detective Raymond Alvarez, County Elder Fraud Investigation Unit. Your attorney, Linda Harper, sent us your case file." I straightened up, my spine locked. I put my tea down carefully. "Yes, that's right," I said. "We've reviewed the documents," he continued, "the forged check, the false power of attorney, the transfers to ZG Wellness." He paused. "We matched them to financial activity linked directly to your daughter, Demi Andrews, and her known IP address." My hand gripped the bench beside me. I knew this was coming. I knew we were building toward this, but hearing it out loud made it all real in a way nothing else had. "She's being investigated?" I asked quietly. "Yes," he confirmed. "For multiple charges: financial exploitation of a dependent elder, identity theft, forgery. We've also flagged 2 more checks in your name, one processed just 2 weeks ago, signed electronically through a platform that requires voice verification." He paused again. "We have a recording of your daughter pretending to be you." My breath caught. I didn't even know she'd gone that far. "Do I need to do anything?" I asked, trying to keep my voice from shaking. "Just stay in touch with Miss Harper," he said. "We'll reach out soon for a formal interview. And if you feel unsafe at any time, let us know immediately. You have the right to request a protective order." I thanked him and hung up. The phone sat heavy in my lap, not from fear, but from something colder. Sadness. This wasn't a family fight. This wasn't drama. It was criminal. And now the law was stepping in, where love had long since stepped out. That afternoon, I told Linda everything. Every word of the call. Every detail. She didn't flinch, didn't blink, just nodded, and started writing, already 2 steps ahead, like always. "She's going to try to spin this," she warned me. "She might cry. She might deny everything. Or say you're unstable, or confused, or bitter. Anything to flip the story and play the victim." I looked at her and nodded slowly, then let her try. "I'm ready," I said, and I meant it. I knew who she was now, not who I hoped she could be. That part still hurt, but not in the way it used to. The pain wasn't just from what she did, it came from what I had to let go of. I hadn't just lost my daughter. I'd lost the version of her I'd kept waiting for, the girl who used to fall asleep on my chest when she was sick, who clung to my hand after her first bad breakup, who used to call from college just to hear my voice. That version of her was gone. And the woman who took her place, she didn't love me, she just wanted what I had. As the sun dipped behind the trees and golden light stretched across the garden, I sat in silence, not out of fear, just stillness. Because there was nothing more to explain, nothing left to defend. Now the law would speak, and this time, Demi would have to listen. The next few days passed quietly, a kind of quiet I hadn't realized I'd been craving. No knocks at the door, no voicemails filled with guilt, no sudden visits or dramatic entrances, just peace. I drank tea in the morning, took walks in the garden, talked with Marlene from 2A about her crossword puzzles and her lemon bar obsession. I didn't tell anyone what had happened. They didn't ask. And somehow, without saying a word, everyone at Willerist just knew. They gave me space but not pity, and that made all the difference. On Thursday, Linda showed up with a small stack of envelopes. These are the final bank confirmations, she said, laying them on the kitchen table. Everything's frozen and reassigned. If Demi tries to touch even a penny, we'll know. She handed me a new debit card. It was simple and black, with only my name printed on it. No signer, no access but mine. I held it for a moment, this ordinary little card that, for the first time, actually belonged to me, and only me. We also filed to revoke the power of attorney, she added. It was never valid, but now it's official. No more gray areas. The title to your house is locked. You're protected, Charlotte. I exhaled slowly, like I'd been holding my breath for months. So she can't touch anything. Linda smiled gently. Not a cent. Not a square inch. That afternoon, I sat in the garden again. Same bench by the koi pond. Same soft breeze brushing my skin. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel angry. I just felt still. There was no fear pressing on my chest. No heavy feeling that I needed to walk on eggshells or explain my every decision. Just air, and sunlight, and quiet. Later that evening, just as the sky turned a gentle peach and the hallway lights dimmed for the night, the front desk called. Mrs. Langley, Doris said gently, you have a delivery. No signature required. I walked down slowly. Another small padded envelope, no return address, but the handwriting, I knew it instantly. Demi. Back in my unit. I didn't open it right away. I poured a glass of water, sat at the table, and just stared at it, like it was a test. Eventually, I slid my finger under the flap. Inside, a torn sheet of notebook paper, and a check. The note was short. I know I messed up. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was scared. Please don't ruin my life. Travis needs me. We're out of options. If you could just send a little something, I swear, we'll leave you alone. You don't have to forgive me. Just help me one last time. The check was made out for $3,000. My name printed on it, not signed by me. Memo line, car repairs. It was pulled from an account I thought we'd already closed months ago. She hadn't stopped. Even under investigation, with lawyers watching every move, she still thought she could guilt me back into silence, but she was too late. I didn't hesitate. I tore the check in half, then again, and again, until it was nothing but shred-scrums of a lie I'd finally stopped swallowing. I dropped them into the office, shredder without a word. That night, I locked my door, not out of fear, but to protect what I'd finally reclaimed, my future. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the floor just as I finished my tea. The air smelled like rain, clean and new. I opened the window. I didn't brace for a knock, or a demand, or a crisis. I just breathed. And for the first time in years really breathed. That's today's story. If it touched you, leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget, share your own life lesson in the comments below.